Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. With over 1,000 NCAA commitments, the EHL is the proven path to college. Turn it up and learn more about the college placement leader at the Division II and III levels.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 49 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we discuss the sudden reshuffling of the standings in the E-Crew Fantasy Challenge and preview what's left for game action in 2020. But first and foremost, I sit down with one of the biggest supporters of the EHL, the head ice hockey coach at SUNY Brockport, Brian Dickinson. I'm joined now by Brian Dickinson, the head ice hockey coach at SUNY Brockport. How's it going, Coach?
Doing well, Neil. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Of course, I reached out to all the college coaches because we were hoping to have that all-star event. I know you would have been at that all-star event, but you were also one of the first guys to reach back out and say, I'd love to come on the podcast. So first and foremost, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on. Let's talk first, though, about the EHL. It seems like any and every event that we have, you guys are always there. Why is that?
Well, first off, we just love the way that your league is run. The coaches are unbelievable to all of us at our level. We just feel like your league knows exactly what your identity is. And, it's really nice to go into a rink and have coaches approach us as coaches with the information we need. There's no having to hound people. The line charts are always there. There's any updates. We already know who's committed to other teams, which guys, we have a great rapport with most of your coaches, if not all of them. And we're developing some with the newer coaches. And we've just had great success in your league. So we know the type of player we're getting: hard-nosed, great character kids, and guys that want to be in our programs.
And this season, I know it's disappointing that it's been canceled in the SUNY, but it would have been, I believe, your 25th season as the head coach there. What is it about the school and the program itself that's made you stay for all this time?
Yeah, Brockport, I started my career as an assistant at Fredonia, and then I went to Buff State for a couple of years, which is about an hour close to the east, and then Brockport's another hour. So my family always joked I was getting home as an Amesbury native an hour at a time, but something about Brockport just resonated. It was a great place to raise a family. The school has treated me like gold from the time I stepped on campus, and through thick and thin times, we've really just tried to do things the right way here at Brockport. Develop great character guys. It's not, obviously we're in coaching. We want to win as many hockey games as we can, and national championships and SUNY championships are always the goal at the beginning of the year. But at the Division III level, I tell all of our recruits, probably not getting you to the NHL as a player. We can get you there in other capacities. Kevin Collins, the strength coach for the Columbus Blue Jackets, played in our program. Dave Zeiss, the trainer for the Stars, played in our program. So, there's other ways that Brockport can help them get to their ultimate goal of being a part of the NHL. But it's a great play. It's a great small town village. The campus and the community, work very well together. And it's just been a great place to call home for 25 years.
And you mentioned the previous SUNYAC experience when you were assistant, and then with Buff State or Fredonia when you were there too. I mean, was it just a thought in your mind, I want to stay in the SUNYAC, or did it just work out like this?
No, it actually just worked out, to be honest with you, Neil. I actually, thought I would become the head coach at North Adams State College, which was my alma mater, now called the Mass College of Liberal Arts. No longer have a team, unfortunately, but, had 4 great years there as a player. Went back for a 5th year. Coach brought me on as a student assistant, and that's kind of how I started this path into coaching. But the year that I accepted the Buff State job, I'd been at Fredonia 5 years. It was time to move on from there. We had built something special. Took a team that was 0-25 the year before Coach Meredith and I got there, and 5 years later, they were in the national tournament. So, I kind of made the decision. It was time to move on. And, really there weren't many jobs back then. So I was looking at a volunteer job with Michigan State and the great Ron Mason. And then Buff State came calling. I remember sitting down with Coach Mason when I was offered the Buff State job for $3,500, and asked him, what should I do? And he was kind of like, well, what's your ultimate goal? And my goal was to be a Division III head coach. Yeah. And, he kind of was like, obviously, if you come to Michigan State, we'll be excited to have you. And, I got a pretty good reputation for moving along my assistants. But if your goal is to be a D3 head coach and you got the opportunity, it'd be hard to pass it up. And, obviously we went to Buff State thinking we would do something special there. And, it was a part-time job for 3 years. And unfortunately it was never going to go full-time. And, Brockport happened to open into a full-time job. And I was fortunate enough to make this my home.
And the rest is history there. And, we have so many kids that it feels like year in and year out, they come into our league and their goals are pretty set. They want to go to the SUNY Conference. For a lot of those kids, they're from New York. So there's a whole in-state tuition side of things as well. But I think it's the overall competition as well, also at the Division III level. Can you talk about how the SUNY in that regard sets themselves apart from the rest of Division III?
Yeah, I just think that, from top to bottom, our league is you just never know what you're going to get. Obviously, like any league, there's the traditional, powerhouses, and we're no different, but I think our, through the last, 5 to 7 years, there's been kind of a, and with the help of like a league like yours, where we're just getting better and better players, I think that we've really narrowed the gap. And, if you look at like a program like Brockport, obviously, the history doesn't look real pretty. There were a lot of years that, question, am I doing the right thing, when the numbers aren't there, but, we stuck through it, we work hard. And now, I think there's a lot of coaches, when we're talking in the ranks, there's no coach that doesn't work hard. I think 10, 15 years ago, there might have been a few coaches that, you never saw them on the road. You always wondered how they got players or where they were getting them from. But, those teams were consistently on the bottom. So, but now every coach works hard. You're competing against not only your league, but other league coaches for players. And, I just think our league is, one thing our coaching staff had, we got a pretty tight coaching group. And I'm not sure all the other leagues have that. But we can pick up the phone Monday through Sunday and chat hockey, and there's no secrets in the recruiting game. We all know who we're recruiting, and I don't think there's any negative recruiting going on within our league to the kids that we're talking with. I think there's a respect factor there that everybody's going to work hard, and our league's a grind, and this has been kind of a trying year, and it's been interesting to get text messages from the opposing coaches that we would supposed to be playing that night on what type of game we would be expecting that night. Like hearing from Coach Meredith on Saturday night, man, we'd much rather be in the Tuttle Arena tonight. We know what kind of specific 1 goal, hard-nosed fought game, and then I just think that the SUNY does things the right way. The coaches run their programs the right way, and kids see that and they want to be a part of something special. We all have our own rinks on campus. We get great crowds, and really that's what kids want to choose colleges for. They want the experience. Obviously the education is important, and we all got good educational majors. And but on this Friday and Saturday night, kids want to play in front of a lot of people, and the SUNY offers that.
And that's kind of funny because, Mark Kumpel, who's no longer with the EHL, but used to always refer to our coaches as kind of like a fraternity of coaches. It sounds like a similar feeling with all the SUNY coaches. And the one that I had to point out, obviously, you and Jeff Meredith at Fredonia go way back. You have both been at your respective schools for a long time. And then you go and you commit Jeff's son to play for you. How does that all work out?
Yeah, it's a special relationship. Jeff took a chance on me coming out of college. We developed, like I said, I was with him for 5 years, developed a program there. He's been so much to me in my career. He's, obviously my mentor, taught me how to recruit, how to run a program, from the bottom up. And so I've taken, a lot of what he's instilled in me through the years. But, we became obviously really close friends, and, doing a lot of things, working hockey schools together in the summer, around his family a lot, got to know the boys, obviously really well. They're, I consider them, family as well. And, what was it, about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a chance to recruit Matt, and Matt came in and had great 4 years, and did some special things. And this year we were fortunate enough to get Michael, probably a lot because of Matt's experiences.
Yeah.
Jeff's a Brockport alum, so Jeff's been sending his kids to his alma mater too, so they're a Brockport family. That probably helps. But there's probably something to be said about the dynamic of coaching your own kids there. And I think that the kids wanted to kind of create their own memories and maybe a legacy somewhere. And we just had that relationship, obviously. And the Meredith family, they all do nothing but work hard, and so we know what kind of kids, they're coaches' kids. So that's a special thing when I think that says a lot. It's been pointed out to me more than once that if college coaches are comfortable sending their kids to your program, that speaks volumes. And we've been fortunate now to have 2 Merediths with a great hockey dad in our program. And Ryan Kangas, Billy's kid from Williams, had 3 really good years for us before an injury cut his senior year short. But one thing that I've kind of taken away from that is we've been entrusted with some really good kids from some really good hockey minds.
So what's interesting about that, why I wanted to ask it, because obviously every now and then we get maybe an owner's son that plays for our junior team. And I don't want to say it puts our coaches in a tough spot, but when you scratch that player for the first time, it makes for an interesting conversation. I would assume that when you bring in a Meredith or Kangas to your program and you may scratch them for a game, you don't get a phone call from your colleague, do you?
No, not at all. I mean, I remember when Ryan Kangas was with us. Unfortunately, we're playing Thanksgiving tournaments. We love playing in tournaments there. And unfortunately, Ryan overslept our pre-game day skate. But we sat him, in the first game. And it was back at Castleton, which is close to Williams, so it was like a home game for Mom. But they totally understand, nobody's above the rules. And, same thing, Matt was a hardworking player for us. Jeff, is a professional, and he's a coach, obviously, so he gets it. We all have tough decisions, and you're coaching your team to the best of your abilities and making the right decisions. And if the kids are in a position to be in your lineup, they're he trusts that we're going to have them in our lineup. And so they both had great careers for us. And like I said, from a parenting standpoint, to have the support of fellow coaches behind you is some of the easier conversations with parents that we'll have.
And to the minute, we as a league have committed 126 total players from our league to the SUNYAC. Obviously, you're a big part of that. Over 25 of those have gone to your program. I want to ask 2 sides of it. I want to ask first, has there ever been a player that you were pushing for? As you mentioned, all the SUNYAC coaches are always on the road. Has there ever been a player that you were pushing for that went to another SUNYAC school that you kind of maybe kick yourself every now and then and say, I wish we had gotten that kid?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's always kids you wish, especially when they go in your league, that's the hard part. I mean, the easy one for me right off the top is Dylan Van Der Esch. He was a guy that, we were on, and I think Chris would have really liked to see him come to Brockport, but we didn't win that battle, and he went to Potsdam and had 4 unbelievable years, and he was that thorn in our side throughout his career. But and a super nice kid. Used to love to have great conversation with him in the handshake line. And so there's definitely guys that the fish that got away.
All right, well, positive spin then. Let's talk about a player that you've got that was talking with other SUNYAC schools, but you were pretty proud. You pounded your chest when you brought that kid in.
Well, there's been a few of those, off the top. I mean, Ryan Kangas is the first one. He wasn't looking to go to a SUNY. He was looking to go to a NESCAC. So, we talked to him early, knowing he wanted to go NESCAC. And then it kind of went away for a while. And, then when Chris called, I think it was in January, said, hey, you're still interested in Ryan. I was like, literally, I think it was a Monday night, and Tuesday afternoon, I was down in Connecticut for a 12 o'clock game watching him, and we had him in for a visit and committed him like a week later. So that was a great get. But certainly, other guys that Cole Burke, goaltender from the Monarchs when they were in your league.
Yep.
Was looking at other SUNYs, and we were just extremely tickled to get him at that time. And he came in at a time when we were just kind of turning the corner, and we really needed to stabilize our goaltending. And Cole did that for a couple of years before an injury kind of got to him, and then he ended up transferring out to Liberty University. But he was a big piece of getting our goaltending stabilized at a time when we were really trying to make that jump to the top 4 of our league.
Gotcha. And I, obviously earlier I touched on how the season was unfortunately canceled for you guys, but the first step in the process wasn't a cancellation. You actually, as a league, had started to come out with maybe a plan on how you were going to play and maybe divide up the state. For those that don't know, maybe the SUNYAC map, can you talk about how that would have worked out?
Yeah, the SUNYAC really was looking to, minimize travel, overnights. This whole thing is so crazy on, the rules change every day on what the pandemic is bringing us, right? And the
Yep.
SUNY has been, really, really on top of, testing of our students on campus first and foremost. But, in terms of the league, they were looking to split the state kind of in half. Most of our sports have 10 teams. We have 9, so it was kind of a little bit unique into an East-West type division. For the West here in hockey, it was going to be Fredonia, Buff State, Geneseo, Brockport, and Cortland. And then the East was going to have the other 4 schools, Potsdam, Plattsburgh, Oswego, and Morrisville. We had kind of put together a whole slew of different schedule plans on, depending on how many games we were going to be able to play. Ultimately, the league had settled on an 8-game season for, with the opportunity to play, maybe a couple of non-league games. And then, I think we were looking to get our championship, second place teams to that minimum threshold, of 12 for the NCAA to be eligible for the NCAA tournament,
Yep.
Through the playoff games. So that's kind of how that was going to play. I think the West, we were going to play each other 2 times for 8 games. The East was going to play each other 3 times, but somebody, wasn't going to play somebody that 3rd time. So they would have 8 games. We're centrally located, so we were pretty confident we were going to be able to play like an Oswego or a Morrisville, non-conference wise, plus, potentially, the schools that are really close to us here in Rochester, Naz, Hobart, Elmira, Utica.
Yeah.
So we feel like we would have filled out a schedule pretty easily. But unfortunately, the presidents, got together when the spikes started to hit. And, I think the biggest concern, I think, from the league standpoint is we play an indoor sport. And just the unknowns of how quickly this virus is spreading, they just didn't want to take a chance on infecting our athletes first, but then our full student body second.
And I know it's obviously discouraging. You have to deliver that message to your players that are currently in your program. How does that impact your team? How many of of your seniors do you think will use that extra year of eligibility? And ultimately, how does that impact your next season of recruiting? How many guys can you think that you're going to want to bring in?
Yeah, it's been difficult. We've kind of had a lot of conversations with our kids, our seniors especially. I mean, it's not only affecting our seniors, but even our underclassmen, that have made decisions to go home for the spring.
Yeah.
We got a lot of out-of-state kids here, so they pay, obviously it's extra money. If they can stay home and save on room and board, then, that's a cost saving. So it's kind of thrown a whole new dynamic into, what you're able to do with your players. And we're one of the, I think maybe 2, SUNY schools that didn't put our ice in at all this fall. So we had absolutely no opportunity to work with our players. So we've had that, monkey wrench thrown at us.
Yeah.
But in terms of our seniors, we kind of let them go through the semester to really think long and hard. And hockey's different, in that our kids come to us at 20, 21 years old, so by their senior year, they're 25.
Yeah.
I look at it from a standpoint that, they got to really, really think hard. Do they need the extra? Our kids are all graduating.
Yeah.
We don't have any seniors that, need to come back for an extra semester or whatever, so they're all going to graduate in May on time. And, they got to make a decision. If a master's makes sense for them, then we encourage them to, as long as we have the right major, to look long and hard about coming back. But from a dad standpoint, I went through it with my own daughter when she was a tennis player at Fredonia. We're fortunate we live in a college town, so they have a program at the high school here called the 313, where it's 3 years of high school. Their senior year, they can take college classes. It's kind of like a combined, year, and then they can get out of college in 3 years, which my daughter was fortunate enough to be in a position to do. But I wanted to have the 4-year college experience, and so she had to go back to finish that up. And as she only had one more class to take, it would have been nice and cheap to play that tennis season. But unfortunately, that last class was only offered in the spring.
Yeah.
So she did end up having to be full time for her season. And if they're in a situation where we're like men's soccer or football, where it's only the fall, it's only one semester of education, the costs associated with that, that's one thing. But, hockey's a long season. So it's a full, for an out-of-state kid, 20 plus grand. So it's a lot of money to think about. But for us personally, I'm not still 100% sure. We have 8 guys that are potentially leaving, that are graduating. If I had to venture a guess, I'm comfortable basically saying one of them might be back. So we are talking with quite a few guys and a number of guys from your league. And, we have made one offer at this point, because we know of one guy that has specifically told us he's definitely not coming back. And I just, there's other guys we would love to offer at this point, because we know other schools are submitting offers, and we're just explaining to kids we're talking with, just please be patient with us. It's a unique year. I think I'm going to have spots, but I'm just not the kind of coach that's going to offer spots until I know I have them. And, hopefully the kids will respect that and give us a little bit more time. And, in lieu of the circumstances this year, I think that it's normally we love to have our class completed by, early January. We know this year it's going to kind of drag into February and probably into March before the seniors really know what they're going to do. And, the break will be good for them to go home and talk with their parents. And hopefully when they get back to us in January, they'll have a better idea of what they want to do, and then we can all move forward.
And you said one really key word in there. You said patience. Obviously, we're a league has a lot of aged out junior hockey players, and I think I've had to use that word thousands of times this year. It's tough as an aged out junior hockey player to be patient right now, but is that what you would keep reiterating if you were a junior coach to an aged out player? I know it's tough, but just be patient. It's going to work out.
Right. I think they have to, just really keep talking with the coaches they're dealing with, and, just have honest, open communication, and hopefully coaches are being honest with their players. I think we're all in the same boat. I think that, nobody wants to bring in more than they need. None of us are, it's not good for anybody. If you bring somebody to your campus and you don't have a spot for them when they get here, that's just not a good look, and it's not a good feel. And as a people's person or a player, I kind of like to think I'm a player's coach in that regard. But it's just not something I think coaches are doing. But I would encourage kids to just continue to do all their research. I think there'll be more spots than what maybe people are anticipating, because everybody's been throwing around this extra year of eligibility. But again, hockey's different. Our kids they're going to be 25 years old. Do they want to go till 26 to play in 30 more hockey games at the college level?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to spend to play in a minimum of 25 and maybe 32 if you make it all the way to the big dance game. So, we hope kids in your league and other age out juniors will show patience, but I totally understand from their standpoint. If there's a spot and it's being offered and you want to grab it, how do you turn that down too? So, from a coaching standpoint, we just got to make sure our recruiting lists are or a little bit longer this year than maybe they would be in the past.
Hey, there's so many different things to think about. Before we wrap up with more hockey, I wanted to shift away from hockey for 1 second. I don't want to touch too much on it because it is your private business, but recently you were diagnosed with cancer. And the reason I wanted to bring it up, because on this podcast, there's been a number of things that have happened recently where we've talked about how the hockey community has an ability to always come together. So I want to bring up the GoFundMe page. When that explodes the way that it did, how did that make you feel?
Well, to be honest with you, it's been overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. When I was first diagnosed, obviously, like you say, it's it's a personal thing, and it's a gut check. Like talking with people, not just hockey people, but just people we know that have had a cancer diagnosis. When you hear the doctor come out and say you have cancer, your world just stops, and it's crazy. So, my family is spread out. I mentioned I'm from the East Coast as well. My mom and dad still live out there. My mom is the reason why I'm in the game of hockey. She's a single mom. She was a huge hockey fan. She got me involved into the game. She carted me around rinks at 5 a.m. And I give my whole hockey life to my mom, and we have a special relationship. So it was one of those things where I had to get to see her. So as you can imagine, bosses had to know, Coach Luker needed to know, but nobody else, obviously, until we could get to family members. So Coach Luker was the first one to ask about a GoFundMe, and I basically said no. We're just, I look at myself as a helper and a giver and not a receiver, and I think we're all probably in that boat. So reaching out to others isn't what we do best when you're going to be the receiver. So we initially said no, and it kind of went away. He respected our wishes, and then as the word started to get out and I got more information on my diagnosis and what treatment would be like, and I finally was able to get to my family, then the team needed to know. We let the team know. And then, and obviously Coach Meredith was the first coach to know, and then Coach Schultz and Genesios, obviously we're close to, we're travel partners. We share a lot of notes, on Saturday morning of our Friday opponents. And we just have a really special relationship as well. And like I said, our league is really tight. So, once it kind of got through our players to our alums and then the coaching group, the outpouring of support has been incredible. I always knew the hockey world was a special place to be. But, it's just been, so validating to know that what I've been doing for the last 30 plus years has really made an impact on people. And we don't always see that. We like to think we're doing the right things, but, so when the players knew, a group of alums reached out. Matty DeLuca, one of my former captains, he's a doctor now. So when he called to say, the alums want to set this up, they think it'll be successful. Like, you got a big outpouring of support in your circle, coach. And, he kind of beat me down a little bit, use the doctor angle on, you just don't know what's going to come your way in terms of medical bills after the fact. And, so at first I was kind of like, all right, a little nervous, put a small amount on there, not thinking it would certainly get to the level it's at. But it's been crazy. And the names, just going through and jotting down names of people who have given it to players from other teams that I may have had 8 conversations with in a handshake line at the end of our 2 games in our league. Other coaches from other leagues, junior teams, junior coaches, your league in particular. It's been unbelievable. It's been overwhelming as well. Hearing from players, whether they played for me back when I was at Fredonia as an assistant, our state players, or certainly, the Brockport community has been unbelievable for us. And the support that we're getting, not just me, but my family with, the GoFundMe is great. And obviously that number is overwhelming, and, it'll come in handy at the end of, when bills have to be paid, but just the local community, people showing up at our door, handing off meals and, bringing, whatever we might need. And, people have offered to pay for our snow plowing and stuff like that, whatever we need. It's been crazy. It's been unbelievable. I'm so thankful to be part of such a special community, here in Brockport, but also the greater hockey community, from all over, all walks of life has been great. I've heard from alums from other programs from the 70s. No idea who these people are, but they're just reaching out saying they're thinking of you. And, with support like that, how can you not step up and fight, the good fight? And, most people know me as a kind of a wacky Boston Irishman. And we're all kind of a strange breed. So they know I'm going to fight like heck, and, looking forward to, getting through these treatments. I'm in week 2 right now, so still not feeling too bad. It's an aggressive treatment, that, in the next couple of weeks, I know there's going to be some tougher days, but, with all the support that I've gotten from the hockey world, we're going to go into this thing and battle and dig in the corners. And when we come out on the other side, we'll look forward to getting back behind the bench.
And you have our league support. I can speak for all the players, coaches, organizations. And let's wrap up with more of a hockey question now, because I did set the table with this one for you with the email. I didn't want to put you too much on the spot with this last question, because you have committed so many players from our league. What's funny is there isn't one yet this year. You mentioned you do have some kids you're looking at, but there's been at least one every season since the league has formed. So the question really is, if you had to go start an EHL lineup from all the players that you've brought in, who would you send out there for 3 EHL forwards, 2 EHL defensemen, and 1 goaltender to start the game for you?
Well, thinking about that, and goaltending's easy. Cole Burke would be our starter. Goaltending hasn't been the one. It's been the one position out of your league we haven't done a great job with. Cole was kind of the starter, although currently we have 3 EHL alums on our roster, but we haven't seen them play much.
I was gonna say
Aiden's a sophomore for us, played a handful of games last year and did a great job as a freshman, and we expect big things. Dylan Weimer is a freshman this year, from the East Coast Wizards. We're excited about what he potentially brings to the table. And then Nolan Egbert, who I think was your goalie of the year a few years back, transferred in this year. So we got 3 in the stable. We're excited about what they all do, but unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see them play yet this year. On defense, I think easy choice would be Ryan Romeo. Ryan's our captain this year, and we would love to have him back next year. I felt like he was kind of snubbed on the All-American vote last year. He was clearly the best defenseman in our league, and it just first team all conference just didn't get the national look. And easy choice for him. He controls the game and is a great player. Obviously, the players voted him in as captain as well. The other defenseman, I think I go with Chris Pellini, out of the Monarchs as well. Big, tall, lanky defensive defenseman, had a really good career for us. Just good locker room guy, funny, both on and off the ice, just kept our team at ease. And like I say, love to throw the body around. Up front was a lot tougher. I think we've brought in some really good forwards from your league. I'll start with Hunter Laszlo. Just graduated last year, had a great career for us. Again, what Hunter brought to our team off the ice was unbelievable. 2-year captain, and was kind of the glue of our locker room. Just whatever we needed, he's won all the coaches awards, the Brockport Citizen of the Year award, our Tim Panic award, which easy decisions. Doc Jensler, who just graduated, played for Sorella when they were with Hartford. And, Doc was a key. He's a little guy, and, just had a knack for getting under the opponent's skin, but he also came up with some really big goals and, had a great career. And then Ryan Kangas, was probably one of the first guys we got from your league back in the old Hartford Wolfpack days, and came in and, had a great career. It was really instrumental at a time where we had some really good seniors, learned from some of the best, that we've had in our program, and just had a great run. And unfortunately, like I mentioned, kind of an injury took out his career at the end. And then if I could just kind of throw a fourth in there, Mitch Parsons, who's going to be a junior for us this year. Mitch has been really good for 2 years, played for for Lindy, down in Connecticut. And, it's just, again, he's done unbelievable work this year, and we were excited to see what he was going to bring to the table kind of in his opportunity to break out mode, now that, Laszlo and Jensler and Hutchins and those guys have moved on. Mitch is a guy that we were going to rely on a lot this year. So those would kind of be the top of the list. But, I'm not going to lie. I think this year's class, we brought 8 guys in from your league, this year. And, there's some top talent coming that are freshmen this year that we're super excited about. And, they're going to, if you ask me this question in 4 years, I would expect some of these 8 guys to be on that list moving forward.
Well, we can make a note of that for sure. So I didn't want to put you on the spot too much with that part of it, because I wanted you to be able to look up and see what you wanted to do. But the part that I do want to put you on the spot for is if you had to also bring an EHL coach on the bench with you for that game. Not to get the single one out, but I know you enjoyed them all. But if there was one coach that you've really had a great rapport with over the years, who would join you for that one game?
Oh, well, I guess Chris Sorella would be, the top of the list. Rich DiCaprio right there with him.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys are something special. And, we have great conversations, about hockey, about not hockey, throughout, they both reach out to, I'm sure not just me. They stay involved in what their players' lives are doing, long after they leave their programs. We had a player who's a senior this year, played for Chris, needed kind of a kick in the pants. And, last year and Chris, hey, I had that conversation with him, over the summer. And, when the kid kind of called and was like, yeah, I think I'm getting a raw deal. And, Chris kind of set him straight. And, and then the kid comes back and changes a bunch of habits and, gets himself back into the lineup every night and is doing things the right way. So the relationship those guys have with their players, not just while they're coaching them, but long after, even when we're coaching them, the support is there 100%. But Chris and I kind of go way back. We got a long history together, and I just think we're 2 of the same type of coaches. We're fiery guys. I think we get a lot out of our players, and we like to see our players be successful both on and off the ice, and that's genuine from Chris as well. So I can't thank him enough for the support he's given, not just me, but our program through the years to help us, when, maybe a kid is torn between a couple of schools. I know that Chris is, doing his best to kind of help us out in those situations to win some of those recruiting wars as well.
And you've been such a big supporter of our league. And like I said, you were one of a number of coaches that reached out, but I wanted to have you on right away. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast. I wish you the best of luck in this fight that you are taking on now. And that you have our full league support right behind you. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Neil. And you guys keep trucking along. The East Show is a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again to Brian Dickinson for coming on the podcast this week. He's always been a huge supporter of our league. As I mentioned in the interview, no players have committed to Brockport yet this season, but that will definitely change. And that would mean that every single year, we've had at least one commit go to Brockport. And as you heard Coach Dickinson mention, he's got a lot of kids coming in this year that he hasn't even had a chance to see play yet, but he has a good feeling about each and every one of them. But with that, let's bring in the E crew, guys. Every week I say we're kind of moving another week forward, but I have very interesting things to point out with each and every one of you to start off this episode.
Oh, Neil, go right ahead. Let's do it.
I always try to I figure out how I want to introduce you, but I have things to talk about with each and every one of you.
I like this.
So let's start with Jeff Mills, a broadcaster in the league. Jeff, we mentioned it to wrap up last week. We'll start off this week. You called a Wizards game, which was the first non-Neil Ravin Wizards broadcast in the history of broadcasts. What did you think of my platform?
Well, Neil, it's good. It's good. So I mean, I texted you and I was like, Neil, this thing's rocking and rolling. Do I need to like lock the wheels? And you're like, yeah, lock the wheels. It should be good. I locked the wheels. Still rocking and rolling up there.
You have to kind of get like a wide stance going.
And then maybe that was it.
Maybe
I was too narrow.
A little bit. You kind of just turn.
Yeah, so my 6'1", 215-pound frame was I think the boys were getting a couple of chuckles of me up there. They were like, what the heck is he doing all the way up there? And actually, to let you know, too, the trainer, so I think I texted you this, he said, I can't remember a Wizards game that Neil wasn't here. And I said, well, sir, that's because that never happened. This is the first time ever. He goes, oh, no way. Really? I go, yep, this is the first non-Neil Ravin Wizards game. And I think I plugged that once a period, so all the fans at home knew.
Jeff,
that's funny.
I missed one game. Right? I go back on the platform today, and Jack Johansson goes, oh, nice of you to show up.
Oh, my God.
I missed one game.
Yeah, you missed one game, and Jack scored while I was there. Jack put a nice little puck in the back of the net on that game, too.
Thanks for my fantasy points.
One game. Nice of you to show up.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's so Jack. That's hysterical.
Jack Johansson,
iconic.
nice kid too, real nice kid.
Thank you. Love the parents.
Nice kids. They gave me some daps too after the second period. When I got to go back to the line, I got dap. I was like, oh, all right, boys, let's go. Let's get it, man.
Now,
that's funny.
Did you notice there's no netting where you're standing, right?
No, there is
if the player comes around net, if the player comes around the net and like just shoots it, like it's coming into your face.
Yep. There was a couple times it's like, oh, I like this angle. And I'm like, oh, I'm leaning over the ice. Let's back up a little bit. Hey, yo. Yeah.
But you've called games where I call them at the Avalanche too. There's no net there at all. So the puck has hit that back window behind me and then bounced back forward. So you got to be alive in this league. If there's no net to the ceiling.
In between all my stops to colleges, junior leagues, I had two pucks within like a 2-minute span the other day in my broadcast. One I backhandedly kind of deadened it, and the other one I just kind of zigged out of the way. So yeah, that was a fun little setup you got there, Neil. But it works, and I kind of like that view. I said that during the game. I was like, this is dangerous, but this is fun.
Now I have to ask one question about it because when I broadcast games, most fans know who's going in what direction. I say, Wizards going from right to left on your screen.
Yep.
Did you say that? Because the camera's on the other side, and then I get myself all confused.
So I failed to the people at home then. I forgot it's on the other side. I thought it was the one near the penalty box. Is that the live barn?
Live barn. The camera's on the other side.
All right, so all my hockey TV fans, I'm very sorry. I lied to you. You must have been like, is this opposite day? He said left to right. I think they're going right to left. What is he doing? What is he talking about? So that won't happen again when I fill in for you on the 16th.
Yes. No worries.
Oh my gosh, you're missing another one. Jack Johansson gonna roast you now.
Oh, you missed 2 games, you're fired.
No, I can't wait for the hello I get that game. Oh,
so I had a few things that I wanted to introduce Brittany Hart, our Rinkside reporter, with, and I had them marked down, but then they all got pushed away with a message that I received. Literally, we got on to record at what time? So we got on to record around 6:30.
Like 6:30.
I got a message at 6:15, and this trumps everything else that I was going to possibly say.
Wait, I'm wicked scared.
Get this picture sent to me.
Oh, heck yes. This is already going to be an electric
by Max Phillips' father, Pete, who has managed to, I think, follow almost all of us or friend all of us on every single social media that you
can. My God!
Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Pete, please friend Kyle. Please friend Kyle McKenna at Kyle Mickey McKenna on Facebook at Kyle McKenna.
I need to get through reading this without laughing somehow.
Yeah, come on, Jeff.
All right,
there are 2 things that come to mind about this all-star photo. 1, I did not know the Amish hosted the game this year. 2, nope, just that one thing.
Wow.
Because he's commenting on his son's Grizzly Adams did have a beard. Like,
dude, I love that beard. I love it.
He looks like Ryan O'Reilly.
Yes,
Good
I mean, like,
Captain
actually,
Phillips.
That's a good point, Kyle. He does look like Ryan O'Reilly.
Sometimes when I speak,
Oh, Maxie's a king. We all know I
There's no
love
Ryan
Max.
O'Reilly.
Look at
Maxie's
Maxie.
that
Like,
is
what a
O'Reilly.
good pick of him. Oh
They
my
could
god.
absolutely. That's Max Phillips is Ryan O'Reilly's younger brother. You heard it here
I
first.
did not know the Amish hosted
Credit your
the game
source.
this year.
Well, Maxie's
You
ready
should
to
tweet that at
go.
Ryan O'Reilly. See if he tweets back. I don't know.
Yes. Let's do it.
Now we're just
Okay.
thinking.
Brittany, I think you should do it. Maybe he'll. Oh, I feel like if Britt did it, then O'Reilly would probably be like, good call.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And that's Kyle McKenna.
Show queen. I get it.
And that's Kyle McKenna, our E-Show beat writer. Kyle, the cheesesteak is in the far rear view mirror now because now we have a pizza review. How did it go with the 87s?
I mean, I'm gonna need 10 minutes for this.
Oh god.
Buckle in.
Where do you want me to begin?
I would
Kyle's a
like
pizza
to know how
aficionado.
Joe Gershio was. I recommended him for the segment. What did we think?
Okay, so I have to also thank Brittany for that, and for Brittany and Governor Mills because we didn't win the election. Sorry.
I know. We got to plug it once an episode.
President-elect, but they also helped me out. Maybe with the trivia question. Just saying, thank you.
Oh, that was all Brett. I
But,
can't even take it. I just approved it. Well done, Brett.
What a gem. My flow brother from another, Joe Gercio.
He's a beauty. Kid's
Hey,
unreal.
Joe Burgundy Gercio. Him and his news team show up at Esposito's in Manasquan, and they're complete gems. They were great
Dude,
guys.
who was there?
It
Besides
was,
Georgie was there, and I saw Kopak was there. Who else
Yeah, it was
there?
Kopak, Hertzberg, and Peyton Jones.
Who was Peyton, the video photographer?
So Jones
well-rounded lineup.
was on the camera the entire time, and he was like the most
No way.
decorative. Like he was wearing like a onesie, and we're like, dude, you're not even in the video. So I don't know why that happened, but I have to say, so I show up to Esposito's, and for some reason, I always thought his name was Gercio. It's Gercio.
Oh.
Yeah, I tell you every
So-
broadcast it's wrong, but that's
So
fine.
he let you have it.
So it's just, it's in my head. It's whatever. It's Gercio. So I show up, and he's like, yeah, like we want to do it at 12 o'clock on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, like I kind of want to do it like 1 or 2. And he's like, well, it gets dark early. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock in the
The
afternoon.
not-
boys
do you
were
not
going
have
to play
headlights
roller
on your
hockey,
car
they
or
had a day
something?
off. I later found out. I still had my rollerblades in the trunk. I should have joined them. That would actually have been a cool video segment.
Oh, dude, they blade down the shore.
All right, we
But
can
I
get part
forgot.
2. We can get a
So
part 2.
I show up at Esposito's. I've never been there. It's about 20 minutes south from where I'm at on the Jersey Shore. And I kind of felt like nervous and like flustered. I almost felt like I was like on like a Bumble date or something because like I've never like met this guy, and like I show up and I'm like, Esposito's A looks closed. B, none of the 87s are clearly around, and he didn't answer my text. He didn't answer my phone call. So I'm like, wow, I just got catfish.
You just got left hanging. Yes. Oh my God.
When Gersh
And then-
catfishes you.
He's like,
on top of that, there was like 8 like kids who were like 13, all on like their bikes, like circling outside and like skateboarding. So I have like this like biker gang skateboarder thing
BMX
going on
posse.
outside. And eventually I just, whatever, Gercio doesn't answer. It's okay. I'm sure he's on his way, or I'm getting catfished. So I walk inside to Esposito's, like kind of surprised that they're open because it's like pitch black inside. And I walk up to the front counter. I just said, hey, it's 2 young ladies working. I just said, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm with the junior hockey team. We're filming a video. Just want to give you like a heads up, like right.
He's like, what's junior hockey?
And like they kind of looked at me like literally like, is this kid like okay? Because I'm wearing like a Charlie Brown sweater. If you didn't notice in the video.
Oh yeah.
So
We were Christmas themed.
So they're like, is this kid okay? So it was an interesting start, but Gercio eventually called me on the phone. He's like, hey Kyle, like we'll be there eventually. And I thought it went really well. The pizza was good, a little dry, could have been a little warmer, but overall I know that place has good pizza. And the 87s, thank you, because the kids were fantastic. Joe Burgundy, Gercio, and the news team.
The news.
My boys, maybe
The fact that group of kids was the news team concerns me deeply. But that's
those are my boys. That's the news team. I'm telling you right now. So it
The
went
Manasquan house
well
is
in
the
my
news
opinion.
team.
So I appreciate it. Thank you, Neil.
Nice. Very good.
Well done,
Round of
87. Well
applause.
done. Well done,
Oh,
Kyle.
well, with our big long introduction for all of us, because there was a lot to talk about. I had so
All right,
many
guys.
things.
See you next
Told you I
week.
needed
See ya.
10 minutes.
No, but it wasn't just you, Kyle. I had other things I wanted to talk about because we have a lot to talk about this week.
Right, come on. My movie comment was incredible. Movie when we talked about Christmas movies.
Crickets.
Oh,
Come on,
yeah.
Chris. This is in the group
Oh,
chat.
yeah.
Come on. That was incredible.
The
What
collective cricket sound was good there. It was like,
I was like, come on.
we talk about a lot.
What did
for
we
all
say-
People
what did we
home on the
say on
E-Crew
it?
chat. We always talk
Kyle
about
said,
a lot.
"What's your favorite movie?" And I wrote back, "I'm Jewish." What else?
And then I wrote good movie.
That's what it
You
was.
can still have a favorite
It
Christmas
was like,
movie.
I'm Jewish, drop the mic.
Or a
I
holiday
And then I was like,
movie.
oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
was
of
like, I'm
course.
Jewish. I haven't seen that one yet. When did that come out? That was
Of course.
a good one.
Of course, we celebrate Christmaka in my house. so
Christmas, there we go.
Nice.
a combination of the two. But with that,
Wait, Hanukkah starts tomorrow.
on the day of the podcast dropping,
Look at me. Oh, come on. Can anybody shocked I knew that? I kind of am, but get up.
High five.
you're
Hanukkah.
trying to get like credit for being like an honorary Jew for like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Neil's
Anyways.
family, Mr. Raven at home, will thank you for bringing that up, Brittany, as he listens. I also liked his Facebook post today for his dental practice. He's auctioning off or like raffling off some cool dental stuff. So
I
Mr.
told my
Raven.
dad- I told my dad, I was like, if these kids want to keep wearing half shields, you could get a lot of business.
Absolutely.
You could get a lot of
He's
business
everywhere. Fly him up to Maine, get him done. Go see Mr. Raven.
I said
I
we can do league wide mouth guards. We could
That sounds
have
good.
his name right across the teeth, but that would be
Let's
little.
do it.
But with that, now we will
Yeah,
start
sure.
making our way around the East Show.
It's time for this week's segment of Around the E Show.
And Around the E Show is brought to you by the Junior Hockey Podcast, your home for junior hockey news, knowledge, and nonsense. Check them out at tjhpodcast.com.
We're gonna start down south
Ooh.
because that was a big time upset for the Apple Core over the 87s. We had to mention-
Shocker of the year thus far, I would say.
I almost fell off the platform when when whoever it was that texted that out. I was like, "Whoa,
Probably
go
me.
Core, go!"
and
Apple bite.
we have
Apple
to mention
bite,
a few
baby.
parts about that game. Mike Lazazra is the coach of the Apple Core. Every now and then he gets a little animated on the bench, and we're okay with it. We like passionate, fiery coaches. Tell me a coach that isn't fiery in this league, really.
Mm,
And he
Oh,
got kicked
Bruce
out of
got
there.
Eric Lind.
You get him going.
So Brownie
I feel
fills
like
out
most
for
time
him?
I've seen him, he's chill. Stephen Brown's always the one yelling. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Eric Lind at the showcase.
Yeah, Brownie chill. There you go.
Eric Lind at the first showcase the year before you got into the league, Brittany, when he got
Okay, so I wasn't there.
when he got so mad at the Zamboni driver that he pulled the Zamboni driver off and did it himself.
Oh yeah, I've heard this story many times.
like legendary. But
What
anyway,
year was that, Neil?
I want to say it was
16, 17.
16, 17 at the Monarch Showcase. But with
up in
Lazazra, he got
Tri-Town.
he got kicked out of the game, and you can put another adult in the building on the bench during a game. It's the way that the rule is written. So there obviously was a little bit of delay. I had asked the Apple Core to take a couple tweets down because we were trying to figure out what was going on. I was calling a game. They were calling me. They were calling Gino. We finally get a guy to take Lazazra's spot on the bench, and it's his friend that's driving the Zamboni that day at Jersey Shore Arena.
Wow,
And he
that's
gets on
epic.
and he gets on the bench and he mixes up the forward lines. Like
Oh.
he changes them up himself, and then they win the game.
Wow.
Do you know who the guy was?
No, but he said
He's a Haviland.
he's
So
a
his
what?
brother coaches in the or used to coach the.
Wait,
I
George
think-
Havlin's brother?
Yeah, there's a relationship there with the Havilands where the guy, there's an NHL relationship there. So this guy was driving the Zamboni. He's like, it's almost like a potential Disney movie for the AHL.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so this guy,
That's big money.
He knew what he was doing.
Interesting.
Wait, so
That's
does
some
he
tea.
know Eric Lynn was
I
in
mean,
the
yeah,
NHL?
I'm
Do
just
they have
trying to be a beat
connections or
writer.
something?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Eric Lynn played in the NHL for some years. Do they have a
Yes.
connection?
He did?
But yeah,
I
he
don't know
did.
that. I'm fake.
But like the point
Yeah, he
being,
was in the NHL.
87th, it felt like okay, the Apple Core jump out to a lead. The 87s are going to come back in this game eventually, but they just never got close enough to really make it seem like the game was in doubt. And this guy mixed up a few forward combinations and they picked up a few more goals because of it. It's like
That's wild.
It's
That
just
is literally
like-
a movie. As long as he doesn't send the backup goalie out to play center or something, you're like, what are you doing, dude? Hey, yeah, you go. You know.
Oh my god.
And I
Get out
have to
there.
ask the question because we asked it about so many teams. Like who really are the Apple Core?
This week's
Like,
edition of Who Are the Apple
I
Core?
don't
Insert name here.
I don't know
exactly.
because they play well against Maryland, but they don't play as well against the Little Flyers. But they beat the 87s.
They lose to ProTech.
Lose the ProTech, and
Didn't they beat the Hosses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Again?
Yep.
There's-
Yeah.
That
they've had
conference.
a crazy year.
That conference now, even with one loss, the first regulation loss of the season for the 87s, and of course their point streak stops at 17, which is still very impressive. They're still the best team in that conference. It's one loss. They're in first place far and away, done. But when you look at second through sixth, 20 points, 20 points, 19 points, 19 points, 18 points.
It's deep.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Oh my
Ooh,
god.
well done.
Wait, I actually have a funny quote to read
Oh,
in
God.
regards to the thing. Alo asked me to do something for the All-Stars, and he goes, I think we only had 3. That's when we were, quote, that really good last place team, end quote.
Ooh.
And that's on me and Alo's emails from today. That was the ending of it.
Not even through a text. That's through email. Email is like way more official than text too.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I cried
Very.
laughing at that. So yeah, speaking of that, yes, we just show how deep the conference
So,
is because
I mean-
they did a full 180.
But then the 87s, as we mentioned, they played 5 games the Little Flyers played 5 games with the 87s early on, and they've really taken care of business with a number of other matchups since then. And then they bring back Mikey G and Papa forward of the year from the 2018
19.
19, right?
PLF girl 18-19
Oh
is
my-
alive. She's
my
well. Get up.
Oh my
And,
God.
and they're the second best team in the conference again.
So last
yeah.
time we all saw Mikey was at the Frozen Finals.
Yeah.
They were in the Frozen Finals that year, weren't they? 18-19?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
when
yeah.
they lost to the Avalanche and the P team lost to the same day. Sorry.
Yes.
Wow.
Alo, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get a ratchet
like-
text.
That was
Sorry.
it was
Hot
just
take.
a tough day. It was a tough day.
It was a tough day to be a Little Flyer, and that's all right. Can't win them all.
Yeah.
Although that's the ones you want to win, but that's okay. We're gonna move on.
But I think again, I as of this minute, they are probably the second best team in that conference.
Yes.
That could change.
Right.
Things change pretty quickly throughout this league, very quick, like on a dime. It feels like. But I'm
Especially
gonna go
in the
with,
MAC.
Yes, I'm gonna go with them being the second best team in that conference right now today, heading into the holiday break.
Me too.
When we come out of the holiday break, I have no idea. But as of today, I'm going to go with them.
Anyone else agree with Neil and I? Anyone else agree with the president and the vice president? Anyone else? Anyone else? Does the other side want to agree with us or
Swinging
no?
it.
No,
That PLF
it's
is
just
the
us.
second best team. I just got kicked off, so I just got welcomed back in.
Yeah,
That's
PLF
right.
second best team. Do you agree or disagree? Go
In the conference.
in the conference. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Alo is a best friend of mine now, so I guess we can, we
Right,
can
get up,
mend-
Meek Bill.
The Philadelphia Little Flyers did give me gear during the food review. The 87s didn't.
Ooh. Who let the
Boys,
dog
what
out? Adam
happened there?
Hooley, what do you have to say?
But you know how-
Yeah, Hooley?
So you
What
know how when I
happened there, man?
type, you know how when I type in the description of these podcasts, I can type in the time for when certain things happen. And if you actually
Yes.
click on it in Spotify, it takes you to that spot. Adam, who with the dogs out, Hooley, loves that, right? So I'm gonna say in the description this week, Kyle calls out 87s for not giving him
my
beer, and then put in the exact time that this happened, and he'll go straight to it and be like, "Okay, what's Kyle's address?" Or that's the closest ring
Yep.
to you, right, Kyle?
It is. Yeah. I
You go
played
pick it
All
up.
right, so just
Okay.
whip over to the
Don't mail
JSA.
it.
college. So
Bam, done.
that same rink that they play on, those same locker rooms, I was in there, boys.
Wait,
So,
Monmouth plays at that rink.
they did. Yeah,
Did I say it right?
you did.
Yes.
I'm such a
I say
Jersey girl,
Monmouth.
it's crazy.
Some people are like Monmouth.
Well, now I was
Nah,
gonna
just
say,
Monmouth.
No.
Like Walpole Express.
No.
I don't know why you guys make fun of me. I don't understand, but
Shifting up to the New England Conference, we don't even need to talk about the Rangers or Avalanche this week. Now we can put that in the description too. Neo refuses to talk about Rangers or Avalanche this week. I'll put
Chris at Rich.
I'll put the timestamp for that one as well because they just keep winning right now. For now, Rangers 5 in a row, Avalanche 4 in a row. Walpole. What I want to point out for them, they've won 4 in a row, 9 of their last 10. Obviously, a very hot team. They have a huge stretch coming up here.
Can you read it off, please?
The day we drop this podcast, it begins a 7-game in. This is math. This is quick math. Hold on.
Not for me.
7 games in 10 days and 11 days.
It's less than 2 weeks.
11 days.
Do any games fall on the weekend?
1,
Have to,
2,
think, right?
3 games on the weekend.
Wait, can you read them off? I want to know.
The weekend games are the whole schedule. We only care about week.
Yeah, I only care about the weekend.
Okay, so Sunday, December 13th against the Seahawks at Rodman at 2:30.
Oh, get up.
Saturday, the 19th against the Wizards at Rodman at 6. Sunday against the Warriors, the 20th, Rodman 12:30. So there's
nice. Lots of gaps and engas typically.
Yes.
How many of those are you calling, Neil?
I don't know.
Call a bunch of games for.
I don't know
Coach
yet.
Campbell.
I don't know.
Right.
But Cody just said, I want to get through these 7 games and make it to holiday break right now. That's all I care about. But
Right.
it's a very interesting conference because I call a Wizards game that snaps their 6-game losing streak. And Rich DiCaprio has been pointing out a lot to me how he thinks that team is getting ready to turn things around. And they've added a number of 18U players recently.
Connor Blanchard. Hello, don't forget about him. He
was. I hadn't forgot. I was starting to name them actually.
Sorry,
they've been
like 18U though. Played prep school.
Or there was some playing prep school, and there was some that played.
He's
18.
number 5, I believe.
Yes, Connor Blanchard,
zipping around
who's going to Colby.
Right.
They
He's
added Matt Fusco, who's going to Harvard. They added Peter Frades, who's going to Williams. I think that's what it was. And there was one.
So we're all intelligent at the Wizards. The Wizards read books.
And they beat a Seahawks team. They beat a Seahawks team today that I was trying to figure out, like, how is this Seahawks team?
Oh, there's another team. What are they?
Like
who are they?
9, 10, and 2. And I'm like trying to figure out how they have got to that point. And I want you to hear, obviously, the 2 shootout / overtime losses are obviously by a goal. But the non-shootout overtime losses, ready? 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, and then today was the first time they'd ever lost all season by more than 3. They're in every game.
Because again, like you said, they got Blaine Moore and you got Peyton Durin. You got the 2 veteran goalies, and they're keeping them in it. That's a good combo. And I just called one of their games. They just lost to Walpole by 1 goal. That game I did.
They have Walpole vibes, as in we need to score some goal vibes.
Yeah.
Yes, the games against Walpole this season.
Bill knows that.
He
told me he's trying to reinvent the wheel. He's trying to add new guys in. He's added a lot of different names in and out in the last couple of weeks and trying to see what sticks.
So the losses against Walpole was the 3-1 on Thanksgiving with an empty netter. So that's kind of like 2-1.
2-1, yeah.
And then a 3-2 that weekend also.
That's Sunday night game, yeah.
They're in every game. So, I know they're listed at 9, 10, and 2, but I'd watch that team. If they start to get a few more goals, bounces here and there, that record is going to flip around. And it's a really, I pointed out before how tight the MAC conference is with their points. Yeah. You have the Rangers and the Avalanche at 33-31. Walpole kind of in between at 25. But then even from there, it's the same thing. 20 points for the Seahawks. 16 for each the Wolves and the Spartans. 12 for the Lumberjacks, Railers, and Wizards. And the Warriors were a team that we touched on this podcast last week, a team that's getting hot a little bit also. So I think that conference kind of has the same parity.
Oh, Brittany's favorite word, parity.
Parity. There we go.
Stop it. I don't know how to spell.
Parity from top.
That was the theme of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think that's a huge thing now.
And we're starting to kind of behind the scenes start to get some scheduling stuff set for the second half. Some sort of maybe keep this format that we've been keeping where you play within your state for the final 2 months, but adjust if things get better. But that's we're trying to figure that out right now. But right now, let's get through the games that we have between now and winter break. Get to winter break, hit reset, come back. Not to say though, the points down the stretch here before Christmas are important. We on this podcast, when Kyle was not with us last year, we pointed out how crucial every point proved to be for the Walpole Express last year when they finished as the 5th seed and had to play a play-in game against the Seacoast Spartans. One more point, and they held the tiebreaker over the Seahawks, and they would not have been in that play-in game. So every one of these games is really critical, and it shows you how, look at the Seahawks. Every game, 1 goal, 2 goals, you're right there, and those points are huge.
And that was a good point earlier, Neil, about the Wizards too. I mentioned that in the first ever Neil Ravenless broadcast for the Wizards the other day. I plugged because, like we said, they're one of those teams that they do this every year. They start out slow, and then by this point in time, this is when they pick it up. So, like you said, in that conference, that's what it's going to be all about. Points are right there. You win a couple of games, you shoot all the way up to where the Wolves are. You shoot up to 5th place. Like there's so much room right there. It's so tight. That you're right. It's every game is just as important as the next. And they know that.
And speaking of points, we're gonna get to fantasy right now because a lot has taken place, and I haven't been able to really fully update you guys today, but it's pretty scary what's taken place. So with that,
that's for sure.
Let's get to what to watch for.
Before we wrap things up, here's what to watch for this week in the E-Show.
And for that, it's time for the E-Crew Fantasy Challenge, brought to you by Bertucci's Brick Oven Pizza and Pasta, your home for authentic Italian dishes, catering, and group dining. Check out their party pizzas and specials at bertuccis.com.
I'm going to say a sentence, and I'm going to
love this sentence.
I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to start swearing my head off. I am in 3rd place.
Wow! Get it! Ladies and gentlemen, I might not be in first, but I'm not in last. So that means I'm in second because Jeff's in first. Get up. Wait, as far as I know.
Yes, Jeff. Picking
the cool kids hang out in the basement.
Picking McMichael was the best pick you made.
Yeah.
George McMichael has been dynamite for you since this started. 3 games won, 6 goals against, 92 saves. Not 24.4 points. That is the difference. That's why you have 294.8. Like,
can you read the totals?
So Jeff is at 294.8, and that includes 95.4 so far in this new segment of the fantasy challenge.
Oh my Jesus.
Brittany is at 277.2 and leads all 4 of us with 99.2 so far on her team.
Yo, get up. I would love to thank BJR in the.
We're not giving shout outs right now. I need to keep.
Right, sorry.
I am at 270.4 with 55.2 points, and all I have to point out is that Tyler Bonapane, Braden Patricia, Egan Smith, Max Phillips, Brendan DeMarco, Declan Bronte, and David Raduzzi have not played a game for me yet.
Okay, Neil. All right, so that gives give yourself a pat on the back. Then you got some good point production from very few players. So
and Kyle, Michael Leva McKenna.
Oh my God, he's got 4 goals, 6 assists. I think I saw
is at 264, and he himself, Kyle, has 87 points so far in this segment of the All-Star Challenge. So,
oh my God,
I was very impressed with that skater.
Michael Leva has 4 goals, 6 assists. 3 of those points came on the power play and 1 game winner.
All right, that kid needs to be arrested. He needs to be arrested.
And
that's illegal.
Now, the same 3 starts that you have, Jeff, that Michael has won all 3 of them. Yep. Peyton Durant has 3 starts for Kyle with 101 saves and 1 win. You flip a few of those goals against a round for 2 more wins, which is plus 8 points. The whole thing is different. But when you take Kyle has 28 points with Leva, 11 with Kyle Patton, and 17.
Oh, you have Patton
with Durant. Like, and Kyle has a number of players that haven't played yet either. So let's point
Colin
out
Bella.
Colin Bella. Let's point.
Oh,
Let's
that
point
ain't
out.
fair.
Let's point
We're
out some
coming.
more
We're
players.
coming. Winter is coming, people. I'm
He's
like
gonna
the
put
Night
some
King.
pucks in the net.
Yes,
Yep.
and it's not just Jeff or it's not just McMichael for Jeff that has all the points. Mason Palmer's
That's
got
right. Thank you, Neil.
9.4 so far. The week that you got to sub in Jakob Kubik
Yes.
got you 7.
Hello, thank you.
The week that you got to
Oh, and Ryan Clear with the goal too. What's up? What's
the
up?
week that you got to sub in Lorenzo Marcolin, he got you 11 points. And then it's really consistent. Ryan Bailey with 8, Donnie Feldman with 6.
Yep.
Oh, you have Feldman. He's a beauty.
Jason
He's cool.
Riskowski was 7. Clendenin Stewart was 7.
You-
And then you flip over to Brittany's team, and she hasn't even really got a lot yet out of the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, what the hell,
Yasuda.
Kei Yasuda?
He's only got
You got me a
one-
power play assist. Like, oh, thanks.
Oh, you know, that's a Brittany hard curse. He was like, "Oh, Brittany picked me. I'm gonna go sleep. Good night."
Well, they
But-
also have only played 1 game. Okay.
Yes,
I know.
and then
Listen,
14 points for Nathan Young,
They're resting him.
Yes.
10
Hell
yeah.
points, 10 points for Schaefer, 9 for Seawagon, 12 for Johansson. Can we go back to the month when Johansson didn't have any points?
Right.
told
All
him-
right.
Neil, I
Jack
told him that
Ryan
the other day.
Johansson, my dog. Absolutely. Listen,
Neil-
at least some people listen when I pick them, and he's one.
I mentioned that, Neil, to him the other day. I said, "Hey, Jack." After he scored, I was like, "Neil's gonna be very happy that you're now contributing on the offensive end." He looked at me, and goes, "What?" And I was like, "That goal." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "Yeah." And he just started laughing it off. He's
Yeah.
like, "I told him it was coming. It's coming."
But what I
can't
like
say.
about this is it can flip like that, right?
Yes.
And obviously we have a few more states shut down. So this is not me coming on here as a 3rd place / 4th place all-star segment loser coming to propose something to you guys.
Is that
But
how you feel, Neil? Don't feel like that.
I think you guys like this format enough to extend it through January.
Oh, I love it.
Wait till
Bring
the
it.
whole
Let's
month
do
of
it.
January.
The whole month of
Yeah.
January, but what
I
we're
thought
gonna
that was
do,
already the plan.
well,
We talked about
we're
it.
gonna
Oh.
I'm thinking about extending it through January and February, but here's how we're gonna do it.
That's a long time.
Right now, you have 9 skaters, 6 defensemen, and 2 goalies who are in.
Correct.
You have a sub for each.
Yep.
Okay.
In the month of January, we're gonna make it a lineup. You're gonna
I
add
don't get
in
it.
3 forwards, so you have 12 forwards total.
So we're
You're
making
gonna-
the whole team.
you're gonna
wait,
We
add
can
in-
roll 4
you're
lines, maybe.
You're gonna add in
Oh.
2D to make it 8 defensemen total, and then you're gonna have
I get
to,
it.
and then you're gonna have to solidify 2 goalies, no subs.
All right, so I'm making a line sheet. Hit up. Let's hit up. What's his name? Monty. Monty, get my
Monty.
line sheet ready. I'm ready.
But if we then continue, like, because what I don't know about January is I don't want to get to January and then we have the thing about this pandemic is we don't know what's happening, right? There could be more
Facts.
shutdowns, this and that. So maybe we continue it again in February, but you have to then take your January lineup and cut it back down because of the in real life we have the roster freeze, but in the fantasy we can incorporate our own roster freeze.
Dude, you're getting real deep.
So,
I
so
love
here's
this.
what I'm not going to put you on the spot right now to approve this.
I have a
We're gonna-
question.
We're going to make this motion through Justin, like it's an official vote, and you have time to all process and think about it. You're raising your hand for a question.
Yes. So say you picked. I won't use an example because that's a little bit rude. Say you picked forward
Kyle McKenna.
X. Yeah, sure. Say you picked Kyle as your forward. Like originally, he was part of the All Star, but then he sucks. So can you dish him out for somebody
No.
once we roster freeze?
You essentially look at your roster
Oh, damn.
and take away the subs,
oh.
and then in January you're going to add 3 forwards.
Add to raw. Add. Okay.
Yes,
I get it.
we're going to remove any other players that have been injured for the season or whatnot. And now we're going to
Okay.
draft the rest of the remaining now empty slots
with
from,
whomever we want.
yes, but there's no subs. So when
Okay.
you have this
Or subs go
lineup,
away.
So we're not going to have a insert team name whole scratch squad
No.
on the side.
no. So
I'm
so
sure we know who I'm
we're
talking
gonna
about.
we're gonna get to the end of the month. We're gonna look at Brittany's team, and we're gonna look at. I do believe one of your goalies is out for the season with an injury, right? Look at I have
Who?
I have dinner coming to me while I'm on the podcast.
Mrs.
Yes,
Rabbit.
Vicky.
This
Wait,
is-
who's my goalie? Can you tell me who?
I will exchange those details offline.
Okay, sorry.
It violates HIPAA. So
Violates who?
Duh.
HIPAA is a healthcare thing that
Oh,
you
sorry.
can't really say what. It's like when someone tests positive for COVID, you can't know who it is because it violates their privacy.
There you
Oh,
go.
all right,
So
all
what I'm
right.
saying though is we're gonna
Sorry,
figure out
everybody.
how many empty slots each one of us has, which could mean just add the 3 forwards, add the 2D, and you're done.
Wouldn't it be add 2 forwards and like 1D because you're inserting the substitute? Did you just
No, you're
explain this
not.
and I
The
wasn't listening?
substitutes that you can pick a substitute. You can pick your substitute,
Okay.
but you're gonna have to now draft them. So at the
But
end,
wouldn't it make more sense if we just add them on?
it would,
Yeah.
but
So
I
what?
want somebody else to be able to steal that sub from you.
Screw you people. Get out of here. You should have picked him as your sub. That's not my problem. That's not my
Yes.
fault.
You snooze, you lose.
Right. I like my forward and my defenseman in Cal Coel and Connor Bazal, so I would gladly keep them.
Yeah, I really don't want
Have you
to get
guys
rid
ever
of,
had shake and bake chicken? Because I just got
Yes.
dinner delivered to me on the podcast. This is gonna be dynamite.
shake
Yeah.
and bake?
You got some rice on the side, potatoes. What do you got?
Oh, I want mashed
Yeah,
potatoes
let's do a
so
little,
You
we're
bad.
gonna do a
got a
little,
foodie.
let's
Come
do a
on,
little
Neil.
food
You
review.
gotta
We're doing
share
a
this
Kyle
with me. Come on.
McKenna food review on the
That's like a
podcast.
live
Yeah.
foodoroo. That's 100
Little shake and
degrees.
bake with
That's
mashed
like
potatoes.
300 degrees.
Right?
With some
Neil's
mac
about
and
to
cheese
rip
on the
his
side. That
face
would be
right off.
muy bueno. Maybe some baked beans.
It's like a mashed potato with some cauliflower and broccoli like hidden inside of it.
Ooh.
So you're like
Ooh.
mashed
I
potatoes.
feel like I've
Lost
eaten that at your
Oh,
house
Neil,
before.
I'll drive
Yes.
up tomorrow night. Let's go.
The cauliflower and broccoli are like, oh, you're healthy, but then the mashed potatoes like, no, you're not. Like,
Hi, I'm
No,
here.
Neil, whenever
Mashed
Neil and
potatoes.
Vicky make me dinner, it's honestly pretty good.
Thank you.
Oh,
That was one of the
I just
nicest things you
spilled
ever
this
said
all
about
over my
me.
couch. I just-
That was really
Aw.
one of the
Got
nicest.
some corn and peas over there too.
But Neil, who's the real
That's good.
chef? Is it you or is it Vic or is it a team
It's-
effort?
well, Neil's good on the grill, I will confirm.
Thank you.
Oh, my man.
Ooh,
I
Right?
cook well
That's
out.
fair.
I cook well outside,
too.
and Vicky cooks well inside. So
That's the same dynamic me and Christina have. Beautiful. Love it.
How was
I
Christina?
make a
We will,
mean homemade
He's
mac and
excellent,
cheese.
Brett.
ooh,
What was
Mac
that?
and
Kyle?
cheese.
Oh, mac and cheese. That's right. You
Yeah.
said you made a
I
really
make a mean homemade mac and cheese.
is that the next
yeah.
E show off the ice? Kyle makes it, but the 3 of us rate it.
You know what?
Oh,
Neil, it's funny you brought that up. I'm open to suggestions and whoever's next.
I'll give some
That'll be
suggestions
fun.
If
off
the team
air.
wants
Off
to
air,
invite
I
me
have
up,
suggestions.
let's do it. It's good publicity. If the E show wants to do it,
Okay.
we can get
Alright.
together for, I don't know, what do you call it? Like a
Little crew
holiday
hangout.
party.
Yes.
Friendsgiving, but late.
Yeah, something like that, right?
The with the fantasy challenge, that's I'm sorry I brought in food to distract all of us. With the fantasy challenge though, essentially
It's
the
not
way
a distraction.
the way that I'm looking at it is this year's EHL schedule. We've kind of had to go with it on the fly. We're going to kind of go with the fantasy on the fly also and make sure that we're having fun while we do it. And I'm not making this proposal because my guys haven't played, but I want to make sure that each of you gets to use every single one of your all-stars as well. So we'll figure out more of the details offline
In the
But
group
I-
chat.
in the group. Yes, which so funny. Justin got so rattled on Tuesday because Justin, like the one day he takes off are Tuesdays and he loves to go like go-karting. And he has
Oh yeah.
a car where the text messages like play on his screen. And for some reason, all of his like individual text conversations were muted, but not the group text. And he couldn't switch it. So the group text was like ping, 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 ping. And he's like, oh my God. I almost
What's
ripped-
going
I
on?
almost ripped
Right.
the
And of
dashboard out my
course I
car.
had to text him like for something. I'm like, hi, I need the graphics, please. And like it got read by the car and not him. And I'm like sitting it like patiently today. I'm like, okay, so Justin still hasn't sent the graph. Like, somebody help me out. I don't want to ask because I feel weird. So somebody help. No.
So,
Justin, I'm sorry. I should be an
was-
adult, but I'm
oh
not.
man, it was so funny. So, but with that, we have more games this week, guys. By the time we get on again, we should have Jeff's second Wizards broadcast. So we'll have to get an update on
The platform.
your platform. Maybe bring one of those like rope belts so you can like strap yourself to the back bar.
Oh God. Like you said, I'm just gonna do wide
Hit up
stance.
the electric
wide
company
stance.
who makes the freaking pedestal platform thing.
Yeah.
Hi guys, so I think your wheel locks aren't working, or there's some type of like I don't know, because I'm still rocking and rolling. But
I
I'm gonna try
cannot
the wide
wait.
stance, Neil. Wide stance. I got it.
The first thing you got to do when you walk in, you got to emphasize your hello to Jack Johansson when you get there, so
Yes,
you can
please.
see if he
Jack, what's up? He's like, what the
Can you get it
heck?
on video, please? So you can post it on Twitter.
Okay.
I'd cry.
so
I'd
we can
cry
find out how
laughing.
he
I'll
feels
just
about
walk
me
by and be like,
missing out
Jack,
again.
what's up? He's gonna be like, oh, what?
The
What?
paparazzi.
Oh my god. So enjoy the games this week, guys, and we will come back and do this all again next week.
Sounds good.
Adios.
See
you
you,
at the
boys.
rink.
See you, girl.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.